On today's show, we examine a series of dreams from 3 different dreamers, rapid fire, showing the thread that links the dreams from each of the dreamers. Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello and welcome, everybody.
This is another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and souls on their earth journey, because that's why we focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now at this very moment in time, then look no further than your dreams. Through analyzing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the superpowers that you have, what makes you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps, however, are not in the way. They are the way. So if you want to send dreams to the show, go to dream-analysis.com/podcast and fill in the form there, or else email your dreams to radio show at dream-analysis.com. Sandy, what have you got?
So we have our channeling course that's coming up on February 4th. Michael, do you want to just mention a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's a 14-week course. The first 5 weeks are all healing. That's the only course we do where you get to meet Sandy, and she works with you for 5 weeks, her and Elizabeth Rose. And then after those 5 weeks, you work in a very small group with me, you, and 2 other people. So 3 altogether in the class with you, and I teach you in that small class how to channel. We discover what your mechanism is, how it works for you, and then I teach you over 9 weeks.
Well, that's exciting. So, Michael, let's dive straight into dreams because there's a lot going on today that I want to cover, so I'm excited. The first one, Matthew is asking about cars being stolen, and this is what he said. I recognize that in dreams, the car as a physical object can represent the body, and driving a car can represent the pursuit of one's goals. Well, what about when one's car gets stolen? I've had enough dreams about this over time that it's a bit of a trend, and I'm curious and motivated to get to the bottom of this. Is there any insights that you can impart? All right, Michael, it's up to you.
So we want to see the dream. You didn't send us a dream, but we've covered dreams on the show before about cars getting stolen. Cars, like you said, are, in this case, are going to be about striving towards goals, so achieving your goals. And if your higher self and guides determine that you're using the wrong mechanisms, then you can dream about cars being stolen. It's like, hey, you're finished with this karma. You don't need to be doing this thing that you think you need to be doing. Stop doing it, please. And so that's a very good reason, the most common reason, that cars are going to be stolen in a dream, because you no longer have that karma, and it's a pun on karma. But if you send us a dream, we will be able to confirm that. So even though it seems negative, it most likely is not a negative in your dream.
That is so cool. All righty. So the next one that we want to dive into is Kathy had no guides. Do you want to talk about that, Michael? That's very curious.
Absolutely. So Kathy was doing a course with us at the end of last year, still working with us. But what I discovered when working on one of her dreams, and the dream was all about birth and her hesitancy about moving into the body. And I was like, oh, why were you hesitant? Let me tune into that. And it turns out that she took an opportunity that was presented just out of the blue to her, like, do you want to have an earth life? And she took it. And no life plan or anything in place for it. She did have a guardian angel, but didn't have guides. And I knew that this can happen, but I've never come across somebody who had actually done it. And it was news to Kathy. But anyway, we got it sorted out. She got assigned a life purpose by her higher self and got assigned 4 guides by the system. And what was really interesting then is the day that these things got resolved, she had this long dream. And this is just a little snippet of the dream. Do you want to read it out, Sandy?
Sure. So the title is Trying to Find Home. At one point, I was sitting on the ground trying to organize my bags. And as I was sitting right next to, literally almost touching, a police car, SUV, which was running, I wondered what they were doing there, but I wasn't too worried. I felt I wasn't doing anything wrong.
So we say this all the time in dreams, maybe not for a while, But police and dreams represent your guides, the spiritual authority, the authority in the land, or the spiritual authority in your life. And so here we see beautifully in her dream, the very first night when the problem is resolved, we see guides are now alongside her. And of course, the bags are the karma, the life plan that she has decided she's going to work on. But really just cool to see it. So we thought we'd share it. So let's move on. I mean, our plan today is do some dreams in a kind of rapid fire way.
Yeah, so the first one is from Lucy. So she now has our book and is in the process of reading it and trying to figure out what her dreams mean and what her life purpose is. So let's see what her dreams have to say. So the very first dream, walking with Prince the musician. Not sure if we were in a mall or outside on a sidewalk. It was foggy.
Okay, so straight away, she's a channel. And she said that in the note that she sent in. Prince is a musician, and music comes from the spirit world. Singers themselves represent channeling in a dream. So we know that. She says she doesn't know if she was in a mall or on the sidewalk, but it was foggy. So let's stick with the foggy. Foggy says that when it comes to this gift, she can't really see where she's going with it yet. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But she has it. Ideally, we want to see you outdoors in the dream, because this is about you taking your gift to use in a career basis with other people. The mall is fine as well. It's like it would represent this is something you need to work on. Let's have the next dream.
All righty, number 2. Looking down from where I was standing, and I think I was standing on the sand. I see a small pyramid, like in Egypt, with gold.
All right, so you're a healer. The sand is about spiritual approach. So it's like your spiritual approach must include acknowledging the fact that you have a healing ability that you're going to use for other people. Next.
Wow, the last dream, number 3, is titled Mountain Lions. I'm hiking up a trail and I'm with someone. I look down and see a mountain lion and get scared. The person I'm with disappears and the mountain lion comes to me. I decide to stand really still and close my eyes. I'm afraid I'm about to get mauled or eaten, but it doesn't do anything. I can feel it on my right side and I stand very still. Then I notice others come. I reach my right hand out to pet one of them, and it is nice. So I decide to open one eye. I see the mountain lion is happy as I scratch under its jaw and all over its head. I see a black panther from the corner of my eye, too. I then wonder if I can leave. I look down the side of the switchback trail and see a truck. I think with some men, maybe, or a couple of people, but don't recall exactly.
All right, so this dream is a little bit different. The mountain lion, now you know lions typically represent spiritual leadership. It's not what a mountain lion represents in this dream. It represents a threat in the digestive or elimination system. And that's basically because it's a cat. It's not like an apex predator like like a lion is in the jungle, for instance. Mountain lions are not the apex. They give up their kill to other animals like bears and so on. And so it represents a threat to the digestive system. And I like what she does in the dream. She pets it, and gets close to it. So this is what it's asking her to do, is to love her digestive system. Sounds silly, but that's what it is. And then we also know it's pretty bad because of the black panther that's there as well. So we have definitely an animal you wouldn't pet. But when I channel on it, that's what I'm told. It's about the elimination system. And indeed, she sent another dream where she was washing her hands in a bathroom. She turned on the taps of the sink and then realized there was no sink and had to go to another stall. So the missing sink in the second dream matches with this dream about problems with the elimination system. It's either like the colon or the liver. It's in that realm. So there's an issue there. We do see the references to the eyes, closing the eyes and then open the eyes. So we know you've got channeling from the other dreams. So we know that it works for you clairvoyantly. You get images. We also see that there was somebody with you at the start and they left. So you're on your own in this threatening space. So you didn't get the support you needed in life. And that's something that needs to be addressed. So we see lots of things in the dream, but we're just flying through them. What have we got next, Sandy?
All righty. So our next Suite of Dreams is from Claire. The first dream fragment. All I can remember is someone had a gun and it was about to shoot me.
So, guns in dreams are never good, of course. They're a symbol of anger or abuse. So, I asked her about it, who was angry, which parent was angry in childhood. And she said, both could be, but mom was angry all the time. That was just her default mood. So, that's what it is. The threat from the gun represents being in an angry environment, with mom being the angry person.
All righty. Dream fragment number 2. I think my mom had been in an accident and was in the hospital. She was lying in a hospital bed and had an oxygen mask on.
So here we go. It's straight away. It's with mom. So mom was in an accident. Accidents are karmic. So it's like I have a karmic relationship with mom. Dreams sometimes flip it around. So mom's the accident in the accident rather than you. But it's how your state of mind is affected by mom, essentially, because that's what hospitals are about. The oxygen mask, I asked Claire if she had difficulty breathing. She said she does, that she's very sensitive to chemicals, can't be around them at all, can't be around smoke, or she just can't breathe. It's very, very difficult. And so that tells us a little bit about the oxygen mask. But then the mask itself as well, somebody wearing a mask. So I asked, is mom the type that she pretends to be somebody other than who she is? And she said, yes, when she's out in the world, she is a different person than the person she is at home. And so then, of course, you ask the question, because she's complaining about her mom. You say, well, did you copy that? Because that's why it's in the dream. She goes, yes, I did. So we learn a lot, even from 2 tiny little fragments of a dream. Quite interesting, I think.
Yep, and we've got one more from her. The broken
We have
stove.
several more.
Oh, anyways, okay. I think I was with my mother. I was facing a stove. The left side burner wasn't working. If I tried to light the left side burner, the right side burner would come on slightly instead of the left. But the flame was inside the backstop of the stove, not really in the burner itself, or only slightly in the burner. I was worried about the possibility of gas leaking out of the stove since it wasn't working right. So I turned it off.
All right. So we know she already has issues with mom, because she's admitted it and we see it in other dreams anyway. But stoves tend to be a theme in her dreams. Stoves are typically about the elimination system. But here we see 2 things. So I would say from this dream, you've got digestive system / elimination system issues, which she does. But the left side of the body is feminine, the right side is masculine. So when we have a problem with the left burner isn't working, and flames are to do with the heart. So it's like the left side isn't working, the right side is working. Even when I try to turn on the left, I get into the right. So it's like I'm very logical in life. I rationalize, I think my way through life. Feminine energy issues, all connected with mom. So we see 2 kind of things in this dream.
All righty, interesting. The next one is titled The Wood Stove. And I believe we were going to skip this. Just wanted to read the title so you could give a little bit of definition before we go to the last dream.
Absolutely. So the point of looking at lots of short dreams like this is, can you get something from them? So we know from the broken stove, we suspect there's problems with the elimination system. And then we see this one, the wood stove, not covering the whole thing except this little bit. She says, the wood stove had stopped working and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. And so the rest of the dream is trying to get that going, but she didn't manage to it. So when we see wood, we know wood is generally about the elimination system because of the color brown. It just backs up firmly that there is an elimination system problem going on as well.
All righty. And then last dream is Left Out. There was an image of a little blonde girl, 3 to 4 years old. She reminded me of me as a child. At some point, this dream included members of the British royal family. There was something about Prince Henry and the question of what he was doing for work. Then, at some point in the dream, Prince Henry had committed suicide. And then there was an image of his wife, Meghan Markle, and their daughter, Lilibet, who had been cut out of the Queen's will. At some point, there was also an image of a black cat with a small spot of white on its chin and maybe its forehead or face. licking raw chicken juice off of a popsicle stick.
I know that's
That's,
revolting, isn't it? Makes you want to vomit even
yes.
when you hear that. We can tell you don't watch the royal family, Sandy, because there is no Prince Henry, as far as I know. Um,
Oh,
it's,
Harry.
but that's okay. That's allowed. My mother would be very proud of the fact that you didn't know their names.
Oops.
So there was an image of a little blonde girl, 3 to 4 years old. So this is her. This is about her at that age, and she even says that she reminded me of myself at that, as a child. And then we see gifts. We see the British royal family. So royalty in a dream is about spiritual leadership. So we know that she has spiritual leadership as a gift. And then we have Prince Harry. Question about the work he was going to do. So this is her questioning what she's going to do, but he commits suicide. So that means that at this age, she killed off that gift, that aspect of her that would be used in order to be a spiritual leader. Works through feminine energy. Remember, all our issues are feminine on the feminine side so far. So why have Prince Harry rather than a woman? It's because I became intellectual. I became masculine in my approach to life at that age. Now you can't kill your gifts. It's not possible. So it's an exaggeration in a dream, but that's how it feels to her. And then we have issues between the Queen and Lilibet and Meghan Markle and so on, all cut out of the will. So it's like the Queen represents the spiritual leadership again, but also issues with mom because she's the matriarch in that family. So again, emphasizing the issues that she has with her own mom. Then we see the black cat backs up the problems with the elimination system or digestive system that we talked about from two other dreams. As she says, it had a small spot of white on its chin and maybe its forehead or face. So I asked her, because of the forehead, the spot on the forehead, I said, are you able to communicate with animals? Because this is typically what we will see, reference to the forehead and animals, or even touching an animal's forehead with your forehead. And she said, absolutely. She said, I am so good with animals. That's what I make money doing. I pet sit and I work with other people's animals. So it is one of her skills. I asked a few things about what was going on. She does have digestive system issues. I asked about mom. She said, mom got angry if I tried to explore my spiritual side. And so this is part of the reason that she shut down. She agreed she is intellectual. She's in her head. She also wasn't allowed to be emotional as a child. Her siblings and her dad didn't allow it, but mom, it included mom. She didn't allow it either.
All righty. The last one is the embrace is the title. There was an image of a woman with pink hair. She kind of looked like a punk rocker. She was interesting looking, but not exactly pretty. A little tough looking, like she had been through a lot of stuff. She was picking up a little girl in her arms, maybe putting her on her lap, holding her, but I don't remember if it was a full embrace. There was a feeling of love and a movement towards an embrace, like the beginning/middle of reaching out and connecting.
Okay. So I love colors in dreams because colors straight away tell you what the issue is. We have pink hair. So it's issues with mom. That's what pink is always about. The dream is giving you unconditional love because that's what pink symbolizes. And the only reason you would get that in a dream is because you didn't get it from mom. And then we look at the rest of this dream and it's all about an embrace that didn't happen. So I didn't get a full embrace from mom. I didn't get unconditional love. But it's the hair that's pink. So we go back to the start of the dream and I said it's about how her state of mind with mom in the hospital in the accident, how her state of mind is impacted by mom. And so she needs to work on mom, which is known, and she needs to work on issues around age 3 or 4, which we have from the last dream and so on. And it's also going to help her with her digestive system issues and so on. So it's quite a nice tapestry drawn from looking at a lot of little dreams that aren't really that long or detailed, but we still get a tremendous amount about the dreamer from these dreams.
Wow, that was amazing. All righty. So now we are going to move on to a couple dreams from Matthew. And the first one that we're going to look at is at a crossroads with my family. I stood at a crossroads waiting for the traffic light to turn green. It was loud and very busy. I could see my family. They were standing together on a different part of the crossroads. I was trying to cross over to be with them. Their light turned green and they crossed the road and walked towards a small house. I felt stranded at my traffic light, unable to cross. I watched them approach the small bungalow. When the light turned green, I ran over to be with them. We all climbed up on the stony, flat roof and entered the house via an opening. We entered a room that was full of men and old artifacts. The men were discussing these artifacts loudly and appeared to be buying and selling them. Michael, my cousin, and an archaeologist was in the room. The four of us walked through the men and left the room via the terrace door. My 4-year-old climbed a tree in the garden and then climbed onto the roof of the house. This made me very nervous. The rest of my family followed him and they headed back towards the crossroads.
So I asked Matthew if he had, if there was difficulty with his family right now, and he said absolutely. And he kept coming back to it. He said, like 20 years ago, when I envisioned what I would be like as a father, I'm not living up to that. I had certain ideas in my mind, and it's not going the way I wanted it to go. And lovely guy, but this is the difficulty he has. So the crossroads with the family, that's what that is about. Feeling distant from the family. We see that in the dream because they're over on one island and he is kind of trapped by a light on a different one. So I asked him, does he feel distant from the family? He said, yes, he does. They approach a bungalow, get onto the roof, and then go in through an opening. So this is about becoming intellectual. So issues in my childhood caused me to be intellectual, in my head. And then we see all the men in there as well, buying and selling. I asked him to describe Dad. When I asked about the archaeologist cousin, he said, "Oh, my dad had all the time in the world for him. He could just talk for hours and hours and hours." He said the two of them were very alike. He said, "But if I was in a room with my dad for an hour, it would be an hour of silence." So it just emphasizes the issues that he has and how they come from Dad, and that's what he needs to work on. His 4-year-old son is really saying, like, that's the age your issues come from. Now, he said he was nervous for his 4-year-old son climbing up the tree onto the roof. So I asked him, are you nervous in life? And he said, I absolutely am. And I said, well, it came from a young age. I said, it's so young. By age 4, you had it. So you probably can't remember a time when you didn't have this feeling. And he said he can't really. So to him, it's just like, this is just part of living. I've always had this feeling. But that's pretty much what the dream is about. The entering the building and leaving, that's all about birth. So picking up the issues from Dad at that time. And then it finishes where they're heading back to the crossroads. So there's no solution in the dream to the issues with his family, or at least it appears there isn't, but there is. It's repair the relationship with your dad by doing something like cutting the ties that bind. That's going to solve it for you.
Yeah, what about the traffic light, being stuck at the traffic light? What's going on with that?
So I asked him, was he having difficulty with his career right now? Are things not great? Because that's typically what traffic is going to be about. But he's not in a car. He's actually walking. So we're going to stick with it really being about family. But there definitely is a connection to career somehow in that.
Interesting. All righty. Let us jump into the next dream. It's called Driving a Rental Car Around Ireland. I traveled to Ireland to visit my father. I rented a car at Dublin Airport and drove to my childhood hometown. I walked to a street corner looking up Bishop's Hill towards the school I attended as a child. 3 young men followed me. I felt nervous. I now need to return to Germany, but don't have time to return the rental car. I decided to return to Germany and then call somebody in Ireland to return the rental car on my behalf. This ideal is so ridiculous. Before leaving Ireland, I drove past a steep mountainous area outside of Cork City in my rental car. I see many remote churches, monasteries, and tiny villages dispersed all across the mountainside. It looked completely surreal, like a postcard.
Traveling to visit his father, this is issues with dad. Renting a car, this is the key part of the dream, renting the car. So we use cars, like tying it back into what we said at the very start. Cars are about striving towards ideals or goals. Like you use them to get from where you are to where you need to get to. But he's using a rental car, so he's not pursuing his own goals. He is under the influence from childhood, under the influence of his dad, let's say. And so he's copying how his dad would have pursued goals. And then he says there's three men following him that made him nervous. So remember in the last dream, his 4-year-old, he felt nervous about him climbing the tree. So here again, the dream is sticking it to around the same age. Dreams don't precisely tell us the age. It's like this age and younger is generally the way it works in a dream. So he's picked up this nervous disposition from that young age. We know he's a spiritual leader because there are references to Bishop's Hill. Bishop is quite senior in a church. And then the monasteries and so on, other things that we see, and churches that are remote that he sees in the dream too. But we know that this is a past life influence. When I channeled on this, I got he lived a life where he was cut off from society, and he kind of has a secret longing for that isolation now. But it's only because things don't go well for him. He doesn't really have it. Like, it's not a real thing. He's not going to do it. But part of him has this, like, it would be so much easier. And he agreed that he does have that. But again, this is something that he's got to heal. Sometimes we come into a lifetime and another lifetime that we felt worked really well for us kind of leaves its mark on us. And we want to do that again. And it's no good for us. We shouldn't be doing it again. And so knowing where it comes from is kind of helpful for him.
So what I find interesting is we have both Ireland and Germany in here. Is there anything that we can discuss about those two?
No, because he's Irish, but he lives in Germany. So the fact that he lives there, we can't look at the normal meaning for either country. So the idea, though, of I'm going to get somebody else to return the car. So it's like I haven't given it up. I'm paying a price for that car because it's not returned. And I know I need to return it because it's not mine. I shouldn't be following this. So he has that awareness, and that's why he's working in a program.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I believe that's all we can cover for today. I hope everybody has a fabulous week.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye.